Ready to break up with your bullshit? I mean, all those excuses that are keeping you stuck. Because you have one life to live. And if you're not having fun yet, then that's a problem, dude. Welcome to Goals, Grit, and some woo-woo shit. The podcast where you learn about the habits of kicking ass at life. Whether you want to get ripped, get rich, or just get high on life, this is the place to be. Here's your host, best-selling author and feel-good expert, Una Duncan.
Hey, welcome to the show. Okay, so listen up. The other day, I was having a conversation with a brand new Instagram subscriber, and she told me that her fitness goal was to have Jennifer Aniston's body. And oh my gosh, this is so understandable. Like, I was watching the morning show for a little while, and I know I should have been pondering the great themes presented in the show about sexual harassment in the workplace and female ambition and the Me Too movement. So I just have to extend an apology to all my fellow feminists because I honestly spent most of the show going, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. Meaning both Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and every woman on that show, and basically any show, because that tends to be who's on TV. Beautiful people. I remember once I was sitting in a hipster bar in Toronto with my sister. It was the Drake Hotel, in case you happen to be in Toronto. And this guy came up to us and he said to my sister, hey, sorry to bother you. I just want to let you know, you look exactly like Lois Lane in the new Superman movie. And then he left. Like, he didn't hit on us or anything. And my sister and I were like, whoa, that's so cool. I mean, there's no way they let Lois Lane be ugly. So that's for sure a major compliment. And by the way, it was Maggie Gyllenhaal, who does actually look a lot like my sister. And then check this out. We're all sitting there all chuffed about it. And then we noticed that that guy was going up to all of the tables and saying something and then leaving. And we were like, wait a second. Is that guy just going up and complimenting everyone? Did the Drake Hotel hire a complimenter so that everyone feels good and loves it here? And then we were being all girly and we were planning my wedding at the time. And then we decided that my wedding needed an official complimenter. We assigned my grandmother to the task, who is like the perfect person. And she spent the night going up to every single guest and giving them a sincere but absolutely outrageous compliment. So it was super fun. Okay, but enough about my grandmother and back to Jennifer Aniston and her hot bod and how do we get it? So I Googled this. And dude, I don't think I'm the first person to have Googled that. Because there are pages and pages of results on this, including a whole site called the JenniferAnistonDiet.com, which unfortunately seems to be defunct because I was really excited to get in there. But never fear. There is a People magazine cover story titled The 4 Things Jennifer Aniston Does to Stay in Shape in Her 50s. And Jen spills the tea. In quotes, I drink lots of water, move my body daily, try and eat fresh, whole foods, and get as much sleep as possible. Okay, hilariously, right under that quote, it says, never miss a story. Subscribe to People now. I think that's hilarious because, of course, that's the most boring fucking story ever, for which I absolutely have to give Jennifer Aniston props because she's not trying to capitalize on her fame by creating some gimmicky new thing that she promises will make you look like her. She's just reiterating the boring, basic habits that we've all heard since kindergarten. And also, props to People magazine for their efforts in fluffing that quote into an entire cover story. That is a fucking slow clap from me. Anyway, the fact is, we could actually be really vulnerable to any wackadoodle fitness advice Jennifer Aniston would have. We trust her. We had her haircut in 1994. You know, maybe we were sitting in the salon getting that haircut and we read in the magazine that Brad dumped her and we feel bad for her. And then, you know, fast forward 20 years, we're sitting there watching her still beautiful face and toned arms on the morning show on the big screen in our living room and thinking, she's so pretty. And of course, we pick up our phones and we Google Jennifer Aniston arm workout. I just finished a great book called The Science of Celebrity, or Is Gwyneth Paltrow Wrong About Everything? By a guy named Timothy Caulfield, who, by the way, is my new white whale of a podcast guest. He won't answer my messages, but we won't hold that against him because he is the author of several books and a documentary series debunking pseudoscientific myths. And I'm dying to get him on the show. So if you happen to be best friends with Timothy Caulfield, can you please tell him something nice about me so that I can get him to come on, and then we're all going to get the scoop behind Jennifer's jade vagina eggs. Okay. So in his book, The Science of Celebrity, he talks about health advice given by celebrities and how it actually has a huge impact on public health. So even though we theoretically know that Jennifer Aniston, for example, is an actor, she's not a health professional, we feel familiar with her and she's got an amazing body, so she must be doing something right. And so when a celebrity shares personal experience, we absorb this as evidence. And he also points out the irony of us looking to celebrities for beauty advice as they are almost by definition already naturally beautiful. Like my sister and I assumed at the Drake Hotel, there's no way they let Lois Lane be ugly. As Timothy said, it's like asking basketball players advice on how to get taller. But we do. We Google and we learn that Jen, for example, drinks water in Whole Foods and blah, blah, blah. But we don't really believe that's the whole story. Like, surely she's doing some other ninja hot celebrity secret, right? And so, you know how when you go to Google, it populates the most commonly asked questions? So I see things like, does Jennifer Aniston fast? Does she lift heavy weights? Does she use Ozempic? Apparently, no and no. Her workouts involve gliders and resistance bands, and she does Pilates and yoga. And one hot tip that she offered, lean in, is that she's pretty consistent, even when she doesn't want to. And so not only is all this boring as fuck, it's also suspiciously similar to what mere mortals like myself and my clients are doing. Celebrities, they're just like us. And yet, when I look around, none of us have Jennifer Aniston's body because none of us are Jennifer Aniston, which sounds like a big fucking duh, but it's still so common for me to hear things like my fitness goal is to have Jennifer Aniston's body. It's so understandable. And it's also based on the fitness marketing that we can diet and exercise our way into someone else's body. It's really reinforced anytime we hear about sculpting our body, like we are artists. And all we have to do is, build some strategic muscle here. For example, build up the glutes and the thighs, and then you build up the shoulders, which will give you an illusion of a smaller waist. And then you diet to lose a whole bunch of fat, and ta-da, there's your Jennifer Aniston body. Except the reality is, even if you did all that perfectly, which God knows is easier said than done, even if you did that, you'd still look like you with more muscle and less fat. To drive this home, I'll give you an example where it's actually pretty easy to quote unquote sculpt your looks with cosmetic procedures to your face. You can theoretically get really targeted liposuction to spot reduce fat, which you can't do on your body, but you can do this on your face. So say you want to reduce fat along the jawline or under your chin and then get some fillers to add in some cheekbones and some bigger lips or whatever you need to do or whatever you want to do. And even if you had unlimited budget and patience for adding and subtracting to your face, you would still not have Jennifer Aniston's face. You'd have your face with more fillers and less fat. My point is that you turning into Jennifer Aniston is not a matter of building muscle and subtracting fat. And here's the other thing. When I told you that story about someone messaging me and saying they wanted Jennifer Aniston's body, what was your reaction? Maybe it was something like, yeah, fucking right. Who doesn't? But what would be your reaction if you heard about someone going to a plastic surgeon and saying, I want Jennifer Aniston's face? Like, to me, that feels different. That makes me a little uncomfortable. It feels kind of pathological. Why would you want someone else's face? It seems so sad that someone would hate their own face so much that they'd want to obliterate it to look like someone else's. In the whole history of the world, no one has ever had your face, and you want to get rid of it for someone else's? But we say that kind of shit all the fucking time about our bodies. In the whole history of the world, no one has ever had exactly your body. But instead of celebrating that and seeing that as evidence of awesome, fascinating human diversity, we see our bodies as a series of defects that didn't get the Jennifer Aniston mold. Okay, maybe you're like me and you're sick of hearing me say Jennifer Aniston. Maybe you'd say, okay, listen, dude, I don't care about looking like someone else. I want to look like me 10 years ago. But here's what I'd say to that. You 10 years ago was someone else. That person didn't have the experiences you have. That person had a decade less wisdom than you have. I have an interview coming up actually with Dr. Saur Zavala. It's going to be episode 51. She's a psychologist studying personality. And she said that our personalities change significantly as we get older. And actually, usually for the better. We tend to get more confident, more kind, more emotionally stable. You don't want to rewind this clock psychologically and physically. It's said that every cell in our body has been replaced by the time 7 years goes by, which is, by the way, it's an oversimplification because some cells like your skin have a really rapid turnover rate, while some cells like in your bones might take decades to be replaced. But suffice to say, the vast majority of your physical existence is not the same person it was 10 years ago. It's like the ship of Theseus paradox. This is a philosophy question, and it goes like this. Theseus owned a ship that was preserved by the Athenians for centuries. And as it decayed, they took away the old planks and replaced them with new planks. And one by one, every plank and every part was replaced. And the paradox asks, is it still the same ship? And if not, at what point does it become a new ship? That's deep shit, right? So for you, if you are constantly replacing your cells, if your personality is constantly evolving and probably for the better, at what point do you become a new person? I think you can become a new person the moment you decide to. Maybe you decide to become a new version of you that has decided to celebrate the body that you have now and that no one in the history of humanity has ever had. Or you decide right now to sculpt a new version of you that has more muscle and less fat and celebrates that body that no one in the history of the world has ever had, not even yourself 10 years ago. Either way, it won't have shit to do with Jennifer Aniston, as beautiful as she is in her body that no one else has ever had in the history of humanity, even those that do her exact boring ass health program of eating whole foods and drinking water. To sum up, it is totally understandable to want to look like the beautiful people on TV. We are actually so much more susceptible to this than we think. And popular culture can have a huge impact on how we take care of ourselves and the thoughts that we have about ourselves. And it's important to remember that these people are on TV in part because they're beautiful. They aren't health professionals, and any advice on health should be taken as an anecdote, not evidence or informed advice. And even if you do their health program, or even if you did the best sculpting style workout program in the world, adding and subtracting muscle and fat, you still won't look like them. You'll look like you, which is actually fucking awesome because no one else has ever looked like that. You are a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. And even if you think this is not necessarily the best version of you right now, if you have a desire to become a new version of your masterpiece self, not the old one because you've outgrown that one, but the next evolution, you get to decide when that happens. And it could be right fucking now. Not when you hit some arbitrary gene size or a number on the scale. Like the ship of Theseus, you are changing and evolving all the time. And you can decide that as of right now, I'm a new ship, a new version of me, and it is so much better than becoming Jennifer Aniston. Hey dude, thanks for listening. If you like this episode, make sure you're subscribed so you can get the next one. And by the way, if you rate and review this podcast, it really helps me get found by other people who need some goals, grit, and some woo-woo shit. And be sure to connect and DM me at Una Duncan on Instagram and let me know what you thought of the episode. Chat soon.